Hello, welcome back to another week and another week of books. So today's video is going to be my reviews on three very, I guess, crime books are kind of exciting to read, but three of them that I've been reading over the last 2 weeks. And basically, if you've never heard of Aaron Hernandez, the NFL Patriot wide tight end receiver, or no, tight end runner, he was all over the news a while back, and he was all over the news supposedly for murdering, I think there were like 2 murder cases, and then all of a sudden they said that the guy committed suicide. So the books that I am reviewing today, there are 3 of them, and I think these are the only 3 books out there about Aaron Hernandez and the murder cases, and just who, I guess, people are trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong. How is it that a rising professional football player who was worth millions of dollars could throw all of that away, all of that away in one night of partying and hanging out with the wrong people? And so I'm going to start off with all 3 of the books, and here they are. Were all published in 2018, and you have these 2 books, and then one is an audio book, this one. And so I guess I'm going to start off with the way I read them, which was, I began with this one because this was written by his brother, called The Truth About Aaron, and his brother's name is Jonathan Hernandez. And this one was, I saw it on Dr. Oz. I saw the brother being interviewed, and he was just talking about his childhood with Aaron Hernandez, and how, they had very similar upbringing, but they decided to take different routes in life, I guess. But, both had potential, both had that star power. And Jonathan, his life was more of the average route, and I think he was he was college football coach, then down to high school, and then finally, I guess he started some type of business. But I really, really enjoyed reading this book. It didn't take me long to read it. It's like 192 pages. And this, I guess, is more of a calm book, a book about Jonathan's perspective of his brother. And I think that at some point, Aaron Hernandez kind of shut his brother, Jonathan, or as he's referred to in the book, DJ, out from his life as a, from the path that he was going down after the death of his father, which I think happened when he was like 16 in high school. But he was 16 in high school with like so much potential, very athletic, and just going through a lot of things that he could not discuss with his mom, but he couldn't bond with his brother because his brother was trying to figure out his own thing. So yes, would I recommend this book? Of course, it's a good read, and I think on my Goodreads I gave it a 5. Definitely something worth checking out, because sometimes we hear about murder cases, but sometimes you don't hear about the background, people's backgrounds, and just the way they were raised and so on. And this book, I feel like, kind of gave you a glimpse of that. It didn't really go into too much details, but it gives you a glimpse of Aaron Hernandez, the person, the little boy who was trying to grow up to be this man, but could have possibly been living or a double life, or maybe took a straight path. And so yeah, I really liked this book, that his brother decided to write a book about it. And I guess in summary, The Truth About Aaron is basically him addressing, the one is, he said that his brother did not commit those murders, did not commit the crimes. And then the other one is just referring to his brother's sexual orientation, which was very, rumored and speculated. He just confirmed what was rumored. So that's this one. The second book that I really enjoyed reading was this one, Unnecessary Roughness. And this book, this book is very good. I gave it a 5. It's about, this was also published in 2018, and the order that they were published was this one first, The All-American Murder, and then this was second, and then this one came out later. But they were all published within a few months apart of each other. So there's, of course, some overlaps in terms of like the facts or whatnot. And this one right here, Unnecessary Roughness, Inside the Trial and Final Days of Aaron Hernandez. This book was so good. I learned a lot about just like, murder trials and what it takes. And my favorite part about the book is just him, the attorney who wrote this book, Jose Baez, presenting a case for, there was no evidence really to connect Aaron to the murder. And I guess through association, because of the people he was hanging out with, he got convicted of murder because of association. But if you read like the trials and just like the evidences that were presented, the way the whole case was handled, the way the murder scene was handled, it was a mess. And so this book right here, so The Truth About Aaron is basically saying, no, he's not guilty. This one right here, the same thing. No, he's not guilty, but he was hanging around someone who could have possibly done it, who was a friend of his. And so this one right here was definitely a thriller to read. And I just thought like there were some funny parts in this book that the attorney who wrote the book was referring to Aaron Hernandez's friend and partner, or the drug dealer, as the devil. What else? A cat, like basically saying the man had 9 lives. I'm trying to find the parts. And how he was just, a pathological liar, how he made deals with the devil. And then the other interesting thing about the book was the parts where when NFL, when they're doing their draft or whatnot, they do background interviews on their players. Background investigations on their players. And so all along, like you're reading this profile of a background investigation and just seeing what they had to say about Aaron Hernandez, the football player. And they're saying that, he was they say Hernandez is a dedicated player who will challenge himself to get better. He knows the hard work has been an essential. So like a lot of good things about him as a player, as a footballer, what he will contribute to the team. But then at the same time, like they say, he enjoys living on the edge of acceptable behavior and may be prone to partying too much and doing questionable things that could be seen as a problem for him and his team. And I think this one had more to do with what they were referring to was one of his brain injuries that some people said could have contributed to his reckless behavior. And yeah, I wish I could read some parts from this book right here because it's kind of funny, and but then it would take up too much time, and I cannot highlight these books because they're not really mine. And yeah, so this one's good. Check out my Goodreads. And then even though it's not intended to be humorous, there were some parts in here that was funny. And then my last one is this one, All American Murder, The Rise and Fall of Aaron Hernandez. And this one is by Patterson, James Patterson. Name very popular. I think he does a lot of crime novels. And all I can say about this one is, as I'm listening to it in the car, I'm like, wow, these people are, they are just throwing it out there, basically saying he's guilty, he's a thug, he did it. All the evidence point to it. And it's interesting because this book right here crosses, like the information in both of these are kind of similar, except the conclusions that are drawn are different, which I thought was strange. But yeah, in this book, for example, they're like, yeah, he was at the crime and he shot the guy. And that was the end of it, right? And so this one was more like accusatory, like basically accusing Aaron Hernandez of being a murderer. And in the end, I think they said an escapist who, even when it came time for his punishment, escaped that through his suicide. So this one right here, I would say if you read this, it's not necessary to read this. So in the way that I would suggest reading it is probably these two. And you should kind of get a full picture. But if you're really into and you really believe that, I don't know, I guess if you just want extra, just read this one. This one didn't really do much for me. I just found it to be so, I don't even know where they got the information from. I don't know about the credibility of it, and I don't even know why this was probably allowed to be released and the author profit from it, but it's out there. So, and it's interesting, but I think I gave it a 4. So like a 4, and then these two I gave them a 5 because they're pretty factual and it's not that biased. So I don't think any of them are. So yeah, great reads. Check them out. I'm obsessed with the Aaron Hernandez story. Just watching the progression of someone who is likable, personable, successful, all of that. Just throw famous, rich, just throw all of that away. And then you have to question, like, for what? You know, like, what was the motives? And all of that. So these are my reads for this month, and it was fun reading them. Something out of the ordinary, which I really don't read. I get super absorbed in bios. So yeah, this was pretty good. Check them out. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your week.